Welcome to the Outer Hebrides. It's the WINFL show. I'm Ian McKinnon, and I'm here with Jake Magee, and we have the only mock draft that anyone needs to watch. It's Jake's official mock draft for the 2026 NFL season, which is kicking off on Thursday, Jake. Thursday. Before that, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid the smoke screen. It is silly season now with the draft where all sorts of rumours are coming out and players that never have been addressed to a team are now getting put there. So there's a few interesting picks, but I'm sticking to my guns and it's a lottery at the end of the day. So we'll see how we come out on top.
Yes, indeed. Now, this draft, unlike the one that we did with Patrick last week, Jake, you've got trades in this one. So it could get very spicy and very confusing. But we'll see how we get on with it. What I'm going to do is, you'll notice we've got it on the side of the screen here. We've got everything there. As Jake makes his predictions, I will be shifting, so you will see any trades, teams will be changing, and all the draft picks will appear on the screen. To your right, my left, up here. So yeah, here we go. Jake, the first pick is by currently the Las Vegas Raiders. So I'll play the chime and then you can tell us what's going to happen with the first overall pick in the NFL draft.
Yes, with the first overall pick, we won't get crazy. We'll start 1 for 1 and we'll go quarterback. Fernando Mendoza from Indiana. Don't need to say an awful lot for this. I almost feel for Raiders fans because it's been very much a case of that's who's going to be there. There's no intrigue. There's nothing else. But there doesn't need to be. Don't need to overcomplicate the first one.
No. You absolutely don't need to overcomplicate the first one. I don't think this is any surprise to anyone. Anyone who's not got Mendoza going to the Raiders first overall either knows something that no one else knows or they're just deluded. This is one of the most obvious picks of all time. So it is Mendoza to the Raiders. We then move on to pick number 2.
Yes, the New York Jets remain on the clock, and this seemingly is a 50-50. A lot of people and the odds are leaning David Bailey all of a sudden late. I am not going to falter. I'm going to stick with Arvell Reese. I think with a new GM and lots of picks in 2027, the Jets aren't particularly going to be great this year anyway. So they'll take the higher ceiling than the more concrete floor. So yes, we'll go with Reese.
Arvell Reese to the New York Jets. Third pick, as it stands currently, is the Arizona Cardinals. But Jake Magee, I'm sure you'll tell us exactly what's going to happen with pick number 3.
Yes, we're going for points here. We're going predictive. So whether it's the Cardinals or not, for now, I'm sticking with the Cardinals at 3, and they will just take best player available, and they'll take David Bailey.
David Bailey's going to the Cardinals. There we are. So next up is the Tennessee Titans. At number 4, the 4th pick, there have been rumours of them trading, possibly. So we'll see what happens with this one. Jake Magee.
You're going to be so happy with me that I've only done one trade, and it's not here. And I'm going to keep the Tennessee Titans on the clock. And again, similar to the Jets, feels like a 50-50. Could it be Sonny Styles, a Fred Warner type linebacker for Robert Saleh? It could be. But with a new logo, team, new stadium, they've got to help their quarterback. So I'm going to go Jeremiah Love, the running back out of Notre Dame.
Jeremiah Love, he's very highly touted. He's very highly touted. And there's talks, if he doesn't go to Tennessee, everyone would say, well, the Giants will take him. And of course, there's so many teams with more than one pick. It's ridiculous. Is it 6? I think it's 6 teams have at least 2 picks in the first round. That's absolutely insane. We are moving on to the next one, Jake, and it is the New York, New Jersey Football Giants. Pick 5.
Yeah, for this one, I'm thinking defense. It's John Harbaugh. He's come in. He's going to want to set the tone with his defense. And then it becomes, is it Sonny Styles? Is it Caleb Downs? Do you take a linebacker or a safety at number 5? We'll go with Sonny Styles, the linebacker out of Ohio State.
Sonny Styles. That is quite a safe pick for them. I know where you're coming from. I mean, the idea that the Giants, people talking about them drafting 2 offensive players with their 2 top 10 picks just seems a little ridiculous to me. But, never know what's going to happen. So next up, we have the pick number 6, which is currently the Cleveland Browns. At pick number 6, Jake Magee.
Yes, a lot of talk about the Browns wanting to trade down, similar with the Commanders. A lot of teams wanting to trade down, but how many people are wanting to trade up? And this, for the reason, I think the Browns are going to stick and pick. They'll want to come out with an offensive lineman. They'll want to come out with a wide receiver. I think the wide receiver options might be better towards 24. So they're going to take offensive tackle Spencer Farnu out of Utah. Took snaps at center, guard. He's kind of a versatile offensive lineman, which I think will suit the Browns.
So you got Farnu going ahead of Magoa to the Cleveland Browns. Interesting. Okay. Next up, we have the Washington Commanders. They need a bit of help at quite a few positions, Jake. So what's Washington going to be up to with the number 7 pick?
Yes, they're quite happy because I initially had the Jets trading up to 6 and doing the old classic 2 for 1 in the top 10. But because they didn't, the wide receiver Carnell Tate is still on the board, and Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin get some much needed help at wide receiver.
Yeah, that's a big haul if they manage to get him over to Washington. Next up, we have the 8th pick, and it's your New Orleans Saints sitting at 8. Jake Magee.
Yes, it was very tough after I got to 5, but it was particularly tough because I'm trying not to just give the Saints the best player available. Unlike Peter Schrager, who somehow has Arvell Reese going number 5 to his Giants, which is bold. I'll give him that. At 8, you've got Ruben Bain, you've got Caleb Downs. Both would be great players on the defense to help Brandon Staley. But with a young quarterback, and we're not worried about injuries, Tyler Shook, injury prone, no worries. Chris Olave, injury prone, no worries. Jordan Tyson, injury problems. Nah, we're not worried. Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State.
Wide receiver from Arizona State, John Tyson, going to the Saints. If that is the case, Jake, is that the one that you're like, this is the guy I want? If you're at this position and there's been no crazy trades going up, is Tyson the guy that you're aiming for?
No, I have been very much of the Ruben Bain since before the college season. I would still find it hard if we passed on Ruben Bain. And you've got Caleb Downs there, a complete tone setter on the defense. You got Mansell Delay in the quarterback out of LSU. We've got so many options. I just don't know how the board's going to fall. I'm just following the kind of news and odds, and all signs are pointing towards the Saints going wide receiver 8 rather than 42.
Okay, so we then have the 9th overall pick, currently with the Kansas City Chiefs. Couple of needs there. We've seen it. We see it up there. They've got edge, cornerback, tackle, tight end, wide receiver. There's a whole bunch of options here for the Chiefs. What are they going to do with the 9th overall pick?
They are probably going to run the pick in for Ruben Bain Jr., the edge out of Miami. Sure, there might be some issues. A team who doesn't care about off-field issues? The Kansas City Chiefs.
It certainly is. Okay, we then come to the Giants again. So the Giants have got their 2nd pick in the top 10. Still looking for a few players. I mean, that wide receiver room, they've got their man with Neighbors if he can come back from injury, full blast. I like this young offense there with the Giants, but what are they going to do with the 10th overall pick?
Yes, I've somehow give the Giants the best draft, I imagine, on paper here, because they take Caleb Downs, the safety, out of Ohio State, and they'll address the wide receiver room maybe later on.
Caleb Downs. Good player. Damn good player. We then go to the Miami Dolphins at 11. It's the Dolphins. What on earth? The Dolphins have basically full rebuild mode. What are they going to do with the 11th pick? Jake Magee.
Yes, the Miami Dolphins could use cornerback, and there's plenty available. They could use wide receiver, and there's still Mackay Lemon's still there. There's still some options, but a new regime and a new turnover in Miami. I think they're going to address the trenches, and they're going to keep it local at number 11 and take Francis Mauigoa, the offensive tackle from Miami.
Francis Mauigoa. That is a good fit for them. They need all the help they can get in Miami. 12's pick is currently the Dallas Cowboys. I'm sure that Tim and Lauren will be listening and watching along to this one to see what Jake is predicting the Cowboys are going to do with the 12th overall pick.
Yes, hopefully they'll be happier with this pick. I think that the pick later on might raise some more eyebrows. But at number 12, they get the first cornerback off the board, and they're pretty happy. That Mansour Delane is still sat there, the cornerback from LSU.
Yeah, I'm not doubting you, Jake. I'm surprised if he's still there at 12. I'll be surprised if he's there. Excellent player. So we come to the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams were sitting there at 13. They've got more of quite a young core, but there's some aging players on that team. They will need to address that. They've also got some big contracts on that team. So they'll be looking to have a nice draft, a good young player they don't need to pay for a couple of years. Jake Magee, what are the Rams doing at 13?
Yes, I think they'd like to address the wide receiver room. And Mackay Lemon sat right there. But the phone's going. And it's a familiar friend. It's the Detroit Lions. They're phoning. They are trading up. So the Rams are going to drop down to 17. And the Detroit Lions are now on the clock.
The Detroit Lions are on the clock. So we've got the Lions trading with the Rams. Confirm that will be. You need to bear with me while I do this.
Well, I don't think I get bonus points, but I'll give you what I've offered up and see what you think.
Absolutely.
So I've given Detroit handing over 1750, 118, and 157.
Whoa. Okay.
For pick number 13 and 93.
Let's do it. The trade has been accepted. The Lions are on the board. My goodness, so what are the Detroit Lions going to do?
Well, they've got a glaring need at left tackle, and they like big, aggressive left tackles. And Caden Proctor, the left tackle from Alabama, will fit in quite nicely with Dan Campbell.
Caden Proctor goes to the Lions, trading with the Rams. My goodness. Okay, so 14th place now. We're at 14th, and we have got the Baltimore Ravens. What on earth are these guys going to do, Jake?
Well, again, McKaylam's right there. He might be slipping, but I'm going to stay chalk, stay to my roots, and every mock draft, I've pretty much had the Ravens taking Vega Ioane, the guard out of Penn State, and why change a habit of a lifetime?
Vega Ioane, where is he? Oh, I see him. He's 21 on the big board, and he's going 14th to the Ravens. So that brings up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 15. Where are the Buccaneers going, Jake Magee?
Yes, they could certainly use edge help. I just don't like the edges available here. So I was tempted to move them down, but I thought, you know what Baker Mayfield could use? Some help besides K. Dotton in the tight end room. And we'll take Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon.
Oh, I like that. And particularly with Mike Evans going to San Francisco, that there's a definite need at receiver, and tight end, always good. Sadiq's a great receiving tight end. That'll certainly help Baker out there in Tampa Bay. We next up have pick 16. It's the Jets again. The New York Jets at 16. Jake Magee, what do they do this time?
Yes, the Jets back on the clock, and I was incredibly tempted to have them trade up to number 6 and take a wide receiver, but the board has fell quite kindly for them, and Mackay Lemon, the wide receiver from USC, is still sat there, but no longer. His wait is done.
Mackay Lemon goes to the Jets at 16. Okay, now the other side of that trade is the Los Angeles Rams. So let's see who's still remaining for them, who they're going to be taking. They're going to be raging that Sadiq went to Tampa Bay, I think.
Yeah, the last two picks, Sadiq and Lemon, probably make the Rams regret trading. Maybe. But I think they were always talking KC Concepcion, the wide receiver from Texas A&M. He can deal with a deep threat for Puka and Devontae. He can deal with punts, kicks, all sorts. He'll give them a lot of options. Hopefully he can just catch the ball, which seems to be the issue. And when you're a wide receiver, it's a pretty big issue.
Yeah, okay, can I see Conception to the Rams? Brings up 18. It is the Minnesota Vikings. Personally, I think they need another quarterback. But what are the Vikings going to do with the 18th overall pick?
Yeah, similar to the Ravens at 14. I've not really changed from this. Everyone seems to kind of be on board, so we'll just stick and pick with the safety, Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon.
Yeah, Thieneman. That's a good fit for this Minnesota. I noticed that Jermot McCoy's still on the board.
Oh, he might be there for a while.
I'm surprised. We next up have the Panthers at 19. Carolina. See what they need.
Probably the one team in the NFL who don't need corner. So McCoy's going to sit there a little bit longer. And I've had Sadiq go into the Panthers quite a few times, but an in-division rival has taken that from them. And the way the boards fell, I'm not particularly pleased if they're the Carolina Panthers. So I'm going to reach, and I'm going to take Caden McDonald, the defensive tackle from Ohio State.
Oh, yes. He's ranked 24th, I think he was on the big board. Going 19th to Carolina, but beefing up that defensive line, that's never a bad thing, in my opinion. We're back to the Dallas Cowboys, picking again, this time in the 20th overall spot. What are Dallas going to do, Jake?
Yes, the good graces I've got from Tim and Lorne for taking a good pick at 12 maybe goes out the window when I take Edge, Keldrick Folt, out of Auburn. Very divisive player, young, raw, big, exactly the kind of player that the Saints, amongst other teams, would look at the RAS score and draft. And I think the Cowboys feel more comfortable at 20 taking this kind of player.
Wow. Okay, 21 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've got plenty of help. Their first need listed as quarterback. But there's plenty of places where the Steelers could certainly improve their stock. Jake Magee.
Yes, with the recent news of Broderick Jones, the left tackle's injury, not sounding particularly fantastic, I'm going to take a chance and draft Monroe Freeland, the tackle from Georgia.
Tackle from Georgia. There we go. He goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So next up, Jake, we have the... No, we don't. We've got the Los Angeles. I'm still doing it. It's only been a few years since they moved from San Diego. Still doing it. We've got the Chargers at 22, Jake. So what are they going to do with that pick? Sticking
and picking. And maybe reaching according to everybody else. But this is a name of a player who I shoehorned into our combined mock. And I think he replaces Odafe Owe for the Chargers. And I'm going to take Malachi Lawrence, the edge from UCF, which you'll probably have to scroll down a little bit on the big board.
I'm certainly scrolling down. Whoa, 51. And you've got him going 22.
Wow, you've got to take some risks.
Oh, Malachi Lawrence. I love it. That's absolutely wonderful. Yes. Okay, that brings up the Eagles to 23. The Eagles are a bit of a mystery team with what they're going to be taking. Is A.J. Brown going? We don't know. We don't know what's happening with that wide receiver room in Philadelphia. Jake Magee. What's the Philadelphia Eagles doing at 23?
Yes, I think it's all but confirmed that A.J. Brown will be going post June 1st. But for now, we'll live in the future. We'll ignore that. We'll let them deal with that. And maybe they address wide receiver at some point in this draft. For pick number 23, they're addressing a tackle potential need. They're all definitely a team for planning for the future. Lane Johnson, we just don't know how long he's got left. Mm-hmm. So they're going to take Blake Miller, the offensive tackle out of Clemson.
Ooh, you've got Miller going over Lomu. I don't want to say shocked, because nothing's a shock, but slightly surprised that you've got Miller going over Lomu. Okay, so we then come to who we got now? The Cleveland Browns are our next team. They're sitting at 24. Cleveland Browns, Jake McGee, they need everyone.
Yes, they've taken the offensive line need, or at least started with that. So this seems like a good place to take a wide receiver. And there's two on the board that take my fancy. We've got Denzel Boston and Omar Cooper Jr.
Mm-hmm.
For the Browns, I'm going to take Omar Cooper Jr., the wide receiver out of Indiana.
Omar Cooper Jr. going to the Cleveland Browns. Next up, we have the Chicago Bears, who a lot of people are saying are going defense. Let's see if Jake McGee agrees with that. What are the Bears going to do at 25?
Yes, I've got to help out my good friend Dennis Allen in Chicago. And I think they will go defense. Defensive tackle, edge. The D-line certainly could use some help, but the way the boards fell, I've decided to maybe throw a bit of a curveball and take my third safety, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, the safety out of Toledo.
Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Yeah, he's 39th on the big board here. That's not... Once you get past 20, let's not kid ourselves on here. Once you're past 20, it's all up in the air. Unless you're picking someone who is 300 on the board at 20. And then you're like, wait, hang on a second. But once you get past 20, it's all guessing games, and it's who coaches and general managers like. And that's a lot more where we spoke about, off-field issues and stuff like that. This is where these come in. You just want somebody dependable. The chances of them being an immediate start, it's not so much that once you get past the 20 spot. So, yeah, McNeil Warren going to the Bears. Quite like it. Next up, we've got the Buffalo Bills at 26. What are they going to do?
They're going to help their quarterback, of course. Why would you not? And the only wide receiver I see viable here is Denzel Boston, the wide receiver out of Washington. Offers something a bit different to their current wide receivers. Obviously, they're not afraid to take shots on wide receivers in the kind of back end of the first. It's not always worked out. We'll see if this one does.
Absolutely, we will. Okay, so that's 26 done for the Bills. 27 is the San Francisco 49ers, who need depth more than anything. So many injuries in that team historically over the past couple of years. So, Jake McGee, what are the 49ers doing with that 27th overall pick?
Yes, even with the Trent Williams extension, staying there for another 2 years, all being well, he is still quite an old man. And they draft potentially his replacement, but someone who can also move inside if needs be for the next year or two, or if there is any injuries, slots in there. So I'll take Caleb Lomu, the tackle out of Utah.
Oh, so Lomu is going to the 49ers. There we go. Okay, next up we have the Houston Texans. Texans are 28. That's your AFC team, Jake. Interested to see who you fancy the Texans taking with this pick. What do you reckon?
Yes, I think defensive tackle is a need. But I think the kind of second, third round mesh for defensive tackles is the ideal place. So with their first selection, I'm going to take a guard. Operation Keep CJ Stroud upright. And we'll take Chase Pesontis, the guard out of Texas A&M.
Ooh. Chase Pesontis. My goodness, where is he? Got to be here somewhere. Chase Pesontis. Oh, I passed him there. Yes, that's not. He's not as far down as I thought he was. Chase Pesontis going to the Texans. There we go. Okay, and we're on the last 4 picks now, Jake. We've got the Chiefs, the Dolphins, and then of course we've got the 2 Super Bowl teams, which was the Patriots and the Seahawks. The Dolphins have their second pick, thanks to the trade with the Denver Broncos. Before that, we do have Kansas City. What are the Chiefs up to?
Yes, and I joked saying that the Giants would thank me, and I would have done a great job for the Giants. Well, Brett Veach, Andy Reid, you're welcome. I've given you a great draft. You've got Reuben Bain Jr., and now you're taking Jamard McCoy, the cornerback from Tennessee. Lots of teams concerned about the injuries and the risks. Well, the Chiefs don't plan on drafting at number 9 in the future, and they certainly believe their Super Bowl window is still open, so they'll take a chance on Jamard McCoy.
cornerback. Like, they need secondary help. They do. They're going to need that. Next up is the Dolphins, Miami. Another, we spoke about it before. Full rebuild for this team, Jake. Who are they going to take with that 30th overall pick?
Yes, I don't love the wide receiver options here. And call me lazy. I've stayed local for both picks. Obviously, they took Francis Marinoa, and now they're going to take his teammate, Akeem Mesidor, the edge from Miami. So they're saving money on terms of flights.
I mean, that is that. Because they need to save money with all the dead cap money they're paying. They're paying so much dead cap money. It's unbelievable. So we come to the penultimate pick. It is the New England Patriots. Jake, who are they taking, considering the Boston kid's off the board?
The Boston kid is off the board, but I think they could use tackle help. More right tackle than left, despite, the conversations about Will Campbell. So I'm going to take Max Iheanacho, the offensive tackle from Arizona State, to shore up their line.
Lovely. That's a good pick for them. I like that pick for the Patriots. Well, I don't, because it's the Patriots, and I don't like the Patriots. But I think it's a good fit. I think he's a good player. He'll go well there. And finally, of course, we have the Super Bowl champion, Seattle Seahawks. It's really the only big off-season loss, apart from Clint Kubiak, was Kenneth Walker III. He's obviously gone to Kansas City. So, Jake, for the final pick in the first round, the Seattle Seahawks, the Super Bowl champions, what are they going to do?
Yes, they only have 4 picks, so I'm sure they would love to trade down. I refuse to believe that they would trade down and give Arizona the 5th-year option on a quarterback, because why would you help a division rival pick their quarterback, potentially of the future? So I'm going to stick and pick despite only 4 picks. And you mentioned they lost Kenneth Walker, but they also lost Reek Woolen. And for that reason, I'm going to take cornerback Chris Johnson out of San Diego State.
Chris Johnson from San Diego. Ooh. There we go. Chris Johnson. My goodness. Let's have a wee look at the full results there. That's it done. So we've got Fernando Mendoza, Alvaro Reese, David Bailey, Jeremiah Love, Sonny Styles, Spencer Fano, Colonel Tate, Jordan Tyson, Reuben Bain Jr., Caleb Downs, and Francis Magoa. That's their top 11. I'm not going to mess up my screen here because it'll be like, well, I guess you're like, what on earth are you doing? We've got Mansour Delane at 12 to the Cowboys. The Detroit Lions traded up with the Los Angeles Rams at 13 to take Caden Proctor. We then have Oliva Vega Ioane, apologies, going to Baltimore at 15. The Buccaneers, tight end Kenyon Sadiq. I like that pick for the Buccaneers. I like it a lot. At 16, the Jets take receiver Mackay Lemon. The Rams now at 17 after the trade with Detroit, taking Casey Concepcion. The Vikings are at 18, Dylan Theineman. 19, the Cardinals, Caden McDonald. Cowboys at 20, Keldrick Falk. Steelers 21, Monroe Freeling. Chargers 22, Malachi Lawrence. Blake Miller is at 23 for the Eagles. 24, Browns, Omar Cooper Jr. 25 is the Bears, Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Denzel Boston, the wide receiver, goes to the Bills at 26. At 27 is the 49ers offensive tackle Caleb Lomu. The Texans at 28, Chase Bisontis, beg your pardon. Kansas City Chiefs at 29, cornerback Jermaine McCoy. The Dolphins take Akeem Mesidor with the 30th pick. The New England Patriots at 31, tackle Max Iheanacho. And then at 32, the Super Bowl champion, because we have to keep calling them that. Super Bowl champion, Seattle Seahawks, cornerback Chris Johnson from San Diego. Jake, that is the draft, the mock draft. How are you feeling about it? How accurate do you feel that's going to be?
Oh, not very, because it's the draft and it's a lottery. Normally I go for a lot more trades, but I think this year, more than any year that I can remember, I don't feel really confident on anything after pick 1. Normally, you're pretty confident that you can get 4 or 5 and then see how it goes. And like you say, towards the back end of the draft in the first round, it's just a crapshoot. And you see Cole Strange, who people thought would go in the hundreds, going in the 20s. So I've tried to play it safe, tried to go with my gut. I will definitely be keeping an eye on it and tinkering as I go, but
Yeah.
it gives me a nice base to go off.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is, this draft, it doesn't feel like there's that many. I hate to say this. These are kids coming out of college. Doesn't feel like there's that many sort of superstars coming out this year where you would have teams falling over themselves to trade and try to grab one of the top 6 or something like that. It really doesn't feel like there's that many. So I'm kind of with you, and especially because so many teams already have 2 picks in the first round. The only way I can see a trade happening is if a team like Denver tried to trade back in, but I don't see it happening. I really don't. So, yeah, no, I like it. I like it, Jake. That's pretty good. That's Jake Magee's mock draft 2026. The only mock draft that you need to care about. The only one. And if we do this again, which I will next year, I'll try and get my screens done better, because I don't know why I thought having a screen all the way over here would be a good idea. I should have put it there and then I could have done it that way. But, you know, hey, I didn't think, and that's just wrong. So, Jake Magee, how are you feeling now about your draft?
A lot more relief now.
Now
like
that it's done.
Now it's done, and I can assure you I will be just piling out mock drafts in the next kind of 24 hours, just kind of killing time and waiting until the Raiders are officially put on the clock. I am thankful that I believe it's been reduced from 10 minutes to 8 minutes the first round, so hopefully it goes a bit more smoothly, and it flows a bit better. And Peter Schrager made a good point in terms of like really hopes people kind of take a step back, put the phone down. There's nothing worse than when you're on pick 10 and if you go on Twitter, pick 14's been confirmed. Let's have a bit of surprise. Let's not have Adam Schefter spoil the fact that Michael Penix is going to the Falcons.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. People enjoy the draft, watch it on telly, or, you know, if you're listening on the radio, do that. Trying to follow it on Twitter or X, and then all these spoilers come up. It does take some of the magic out of it, waiting to hear who they're going to announce. So there we go. I hope you all enjoy the draft. Jake, I hope you enjoy the draft. I will not be staying up for it. Absolutely not. I will be working the following morning, so it would be insane for me to stay up for the first round. The Friday night, I will stay up and watch some of that, primarily because my Broncos are hopefully picking on day 2, and I'm not working first thing in the morning, so I'll be doing that. So I'm looking forward to it, but huge thanks to you, Jake, and thanks to everyone watching and listening at home. We'll see you with our reaction to the draft on next week's edition of the WINFL Show.
And we're clear.